Okay, so for the few people who have trickled in last minute, my name is Juanita Mwanga. I am a recruitment and communications coordinator here at Schulich School of Business. I handle the Masters of Real Estate and Infrastructure program, also known as MREI, as well as the Master of Supply Chain Management program. Now, I'm sure today you're wondering, what is this session all going to be about? I know that some of the registered guests are actually admitted students. So if you are one of them, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about what the program is in terms of what it entails, who are some of our faculty members, what are some aspects that make us unique and make Schulich be rated #1 in Canada for business school. Definitely within our MREI program, we're definitely changing the way that we see development, sustainability, infrastructure. But we're also going to go into some of the nitty-gritty components that I'm sure admitted students are going to want to know about. If you are somebody who has applied, congratulations. We're working through applications every day, all the time. And if you're somebody who's on the cusp and ready to apply but want to know a little bit more about the program, we're going to go into some of those facts as well in terms of what is required and again, what the program looks like. So it is a full-time program. It's 12 months in total. The admission starts as soon as September. So expect to start classes pretty shortly. Again, it's full-time, 12 months in total. We have 3 different semesters. We have our fall semester, we have our winter semester, and then we have our spring-summer semester. The program combines classroom learning as well as one-of-a-kind co-curricular experience. What that means is that we take a holistic perspective. We're not only looking at what traditional classrooms would be looking at. Our program, much like all of our MBA programs, is very much geared towards practical experience. It's not theory-based. We really want to ensure that you're able to hit the ground running once you graduate. And because of that, our program does not want for students to come in looking to do a program as well as continue working full-time. It is quite a rigorous program, again, wanting for you to hit the ground running as soon as you start. You will also see that some of our program highlights is that we focus on development. We focus on investment. We also focus on financing. So if you're hoping to maybe pivot your way into being a CEO, or if you're somebody who has a mom and pop shop and you want to really gear your focus towards being even better, being more efficient, and knowing a little bit more of tangible skills that you need to have in order to have a successful, sustainable project, this is a great program for you. Our program does infuse leadership development skills throughout every single term. So if you are somebody who, again, might be starting from an entry level, or maybe you're a broker and you want to go on to start your own business, perfect program for you. One-of-a-kind career coaching and close ties to industry. And some of the ways that we're able to do that is being innovative in our classes and also having faculty that are still very much intertwined within the industry. You're learning from experts in their field. You're also here in Toronto, and Toronto has so much to offer. It's a metropolitan city of them all, I would say, one of my favorite ones, of course. And that's because you really are at the doorstep of exciting and emerging industries. You're learning right here in the classroom, as well as from industry professionals that are coming into the classroom and teaching you about the program, teaching you about what it is that you'll need in order to have a successful career in real estate infrastructure. Again, the foundation of our program does look at development, investment, financing, but also looking at urban economics. So if you don't have a background in financing and you want to learn a little bit more about that, we definitely have that component incorporated within the program. We look at sustainability as well and resilience. So unlike some other programs, we want to ensure that we're taking a holistic perspective, as I said earlier, and what that means in relation to sustainability. Some of the buzzwords that you're hearing here in Toronto quite often is things like gentrification. Well, we want to ensure that we're not kind of kicking people out of neighborhoods that they've been living in for a long time, but figuring out how we can have more inclusive environments where Toronto's development isn't increasing at such a high rate, where the folks who are still living there are being booted out, or we're having condos that are just sitting there and not being utilized. We also want to take into account the historical relevance of that community. So what does that community look like? How do we still stay close to that? And how could your development project be not only successful, but also in line with some of the uniqueness of that community here in Toronto, or if you're somebody who's from outside of Toronto and in Canada, how can we apply some of those practices to where you're hoping to start your project? There's quite a lot of networking and mentorship within the program. We do have a mentorship program, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a few more slides. We, again, want to incorporate sustainability, and that includes community engagement. So not only do you have industry experts coming in, but we also interact with communities and figure out what they're looking for. The program structure is pretty unique. So again, it's a full-time program, starts in the fall, but there's 3 different semesters. As you can see, it's quite rigorous. So unlike some of the other programs that you might be considering, our program is entirely full-time. So you're starting in the fall with 12 credits. You're looking at leadership, you're looking at investment, you're looking at economics, you're looking at the history, and you're also looking at different infrastructure delivery models. Now in the second semester, it gets a little bit more rigorous with 6 classes instead of 5, very similar. So you're looking at leadership, you're also looking at the historical compound and what about infrastructure can we learn from in the past and how we can apply it today, with still being innovative and still allowing for different sustainable models to take place, being more green, for instance, using renewable energy, the lifespan of a project. How long does it take in order for you to start a project? What are some of the protocols that you need to obtain and abide by when you're thinking about government in particular and starting a project? And then in the final term, the summer term, you're probably noticing that there's a huge drop in the amount of classes that you're doing. And some students see this as an opportunity to get more tangible experience. And so we've incorporated an awesome mentorship and internship program. So although you might be taking a lighter course load with 3, one of them being an elective, but you're also being able to kind of take what you're learning in the classroom and put it to life practice by doing an internship or a mentorship program. We do have a program coordinator that's here to ensure that you are able to find that internship or mentorship. So they work with you one-on-one, everything from pairing you up with someone that might be an alumni or someone we have great relationships with at a leading business, or you might be somebody who's interested in getting opportunities that you found on your own, but want us to coach you along the way. We help you with resume building, we help you with internship, we also help you with, again, connecting you with representatives, and then of course, we help you along your first, second, and third term with meeting different industry experts so that if you are somebody who might not see someone that you've already engaged with on the list, we can see if we can make it happen. So some of the ways that we are able to tag ourselves as a co-curricular program is through some of the awesome logos and businesses as well as models that we've incorporated within our program, as you see here in the slide. So we have our mentorship program, as I said before. We also have our case competitions. We have the Developers Den, which is pretty unique. Some of our students had said earlier on when they were in the MBA program, hey, I would love to do something that is putting some pressure on me and increasing my opportunity of getting some hands-on experience through competition. Is that something that we can do? And today we're proud to say that we've had our 11th Developers Den competition. This year it was virtual, but our students were still able to come up with an awesome project and put it to test with different panelists that we had that were on our judged panel, and they were able to give critiques as well as congratulate the students who came up with an awesome infrastructure or business idea. So what you're doing is you're really coming up with an idea and looking at all facets of creating that real estate infrastructure. So if it's a condo, for instance, you're looking at some of the government policies that you have to abide by. How would you apply for some of the permits? You're also looking at the finance component. You're looking at your target audience. You're looking at how long the project would be put together, and you're also doing some of the project management. So what are the costs associated with bringing this project to life? Now we also have some of our student clubs, including the SREIC program, or I should really say Student Club, which allows for students to engage in an awesome student-led club where they are putting on events and as well as helping out with the Developers Den, as well as our Alumni Association. So if you are somebody who loves to be a part of the Schulich community, and trust me, I'm sure you will, our alumni is very close-knit and they seem to never leave, which is awesome. You can still continue your work at Schulich and give back, as well as help make the program even better. We have our study tour, which allows for students to go abroad. You're able to go to New York or Montreal and participate in some real life experience by being on the ground at an infrastructure site. Students love this because they're able to rub shoulders on an international playing field with some of the leading development organizations and companies, especially in New York, and see an actual project come to life on the ground by visiting that site. Now, some of the amazing examples of guest speakers that we've had in the past are actually our alumni. My favorite one out of all of these listed here, although all of them are incredibly renowned and have done some fantastic things, is Sky McLean. And I think I like her because she's actually from Alberta, and I'm actually an Alberta girl, born and bred. She's not too far from where I grew up. She's in Canmore, Alberta. I'm originally from Edmonton, actually. But what I love about Sky is that she started at Schulich not only doing a BBA, an IBBA program, which is an international focused business administration program, but then she moved on to our MBA with specialization in real estate and infrastructure. And today she is one of the co-founders of Big Moose Retail and Base Camp Resorts, which is in Canmore. So you're really going to learn from her in our mentorship program. She's, again, one of those Schulich alumni that have never gone away. You're somebody who's interested in starting your own Airbnb and looking at a more grander scale project, she's the great one to be paired up with. What's interesting about her model is that she wanted to go back to her roots. She created a luxury travel resort, and she was really inspired by what was happening in Airbnb, but she noticed that there was issues with the market. Sometimes you're seeing high gloss photos online while you're clicking through, and once you get there, it doesn't live up to those expectations. Sky noticed that, and what she did was create an amazing resort for folks who are interested in a family-oriented environment, or maybe are adventure seekers and want to be at Banff and do some skiing because it's only about an hour away from there, or maybe go to the hot springs, which is just neighbor to Canmore at the border of BC. Radler has beautiful hot springs there, and she's incorporated that. She's also created packages for individuals to gear it towards the tourist experience that they're looking for. So not only has she combined real estate, but she's also looked at tourism and hospitality and combined them together, using both her undergraduate degree at Schulich as well as her master's degree to really work in her benefit. And there's quite a number of other folks here that we can really pin on, including Tadic. Tadic is somebody who created his own condo, I would say, mega house. He's down in Southern Ontario and has done quite a lot. Him and his brother have started Addy, which is a development group that has created, again, a number of different condos that have multi-living spaces, including having a party room, a gym, indoor pools, of course, heated underground garages. So a lot of different ways that you can use your degree here at Schulich to live out that amazing dream that you have of creating a renowned experience. And it doesn't have to be within a box or confined. Our students and our alumni have really taken what they've learned in the classroom and put it to test. Now, going back to the developer's den, quite a lot that we can go into here, but again, awesome opportunity for you to do a case competition. So you're able to be paired up with various different students that are part of the cohort. So fall 2021, for instance, you'll be teamed up with about 4 or 5 different students, and you'll come up with a business model that's looking at an infrastructure idea. Typically, we focus on Toronto. Last year, we had an awesome amount of students that came out and really revved up their engines, although it was virtual, and came up with some fantastic ideas. After the presentation, I will be sharing some resources, including the slides that we're seeing here today, as well as a clip to the Developers Den if you're interested in seeing the outcome of this year's competition and hearing a little bit about what the students were able to do in the virtual era. We are hoping that next year in fall 2021 for the cohorts who are coming in. Again, we have some students that have joined us today. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. You will be doing high flex, what we call part-time online, part-time in person, and hopefully the Developers Den will be in person because we're hoping to have classes take place in person in fall as well as spring summer term. Now, the cohort of this year, 48 of them are in our classroom. So This is actually for MREI 2020, although we're in 2021, which is why it says that, but it's for MREI Fall 2020. There's 48 that have been admitted. The average age is 28. 4 years of work experience is the average. I know that in the academic requirements, which we'll get to in a bit, require at least 2 years, but we have the average of being 4 years, with some of them being well seasoned with 10 plus years in industry expertise. We have a background that comes from a master's of business administration, finance. We also have folks that come from architecture, engineer backgrounds, urban planning. 12 of them are students, so 25% of them are female students. 36 of them are Canadian or permanent residents, and we have 25% of our students, 12 total, that are international students that are coming from India, China, Mexico, as you can see, so quite a lot there. I know that the number one question I always get is, where do MRI grads get the job after they've completed their program? We have an amazing success rate. A part of that is because you're a part of Schulich. The other part of it is just how renowned the program is and how we've worked really hard to not only live up to that reputation of being a part of the MBA program, of course, branching out and starting its own, but also really allowing for students to, again, hit the ground running and have that support that's needed so that they're able to land the job. So today, our students are working at Brooksfield Properties. They're working at Addy, again, starting it even, working at Rio Canada. They're working at TTC, and they're also doing work internationally. So you're seeing quite a number of local big names, but we also have students that might actually have a mom or dad that they have a business with, or a brother that they have a business with in India, in Dubai, Mexico, Palestine, wherever it might be, Nigeria, and they're hoping to either globalize and come into Canada and to get into the market here by doing this program and learning a little bit about some of the differences from where they may have started their business and where they're hoping to go in the future. And then we also have students that have come from completely different backgrounds, and again, engineering, for instance, architecture, and are hoping to do the nitty-gritty work and transition into a different field, but be successful in it, and might want to go with a smaller organization or company that they've worked with in the past in a different area of expertise. So things to keep in mind there. Now, in terms of admissions requirements, we do require you to have 3 or 4 degree with a minimum GPA of a B average. Now, GMAT and GRE, which is another question that I get, is optional, but it's not required. If you are somebody who has a lower GPA, for instance, below that B GPA, which is the minimum, there are times where our admissions committee might go, wow, they have fantastic work experience, amazing essay, and they also have renowned references. We should definitely consider them, but we need for them to do a little bit more in proving that they're able to really live up to the challenge that the program has by doing the GRE or GMAT exam. But again, it is optional. If you're somebody who's a little bit nervous about your GPA, you could also submit that in addition to some of the unofficial transcripts that you're going to be submitting as well. We need you to have 2 to 5 years of related work experience, but of course, this is not required, but it's strongly recommended for students who are recent graduates. Unfortunately, part-time work is not considered full-time work experience. We do want you to have experience after you graduated from your undergraduate degree. So it does look at work experience on a full-time perspective. That's how our admissions committee considers that. We also want you to have a few different ways of highlighting some of the experience that you have, and we've incorporated written essays as well as video essays. So there's 2 written essays that you'll have to complete, 2 timed video essays that you'll have to complete, and one of them is also a timed written essay that you'll have to complete. This is a great opportunity for you to talk about not only what you've completed, but also the process of how you completed it. So it's always good to come in, especially with that video essay, dress to impress, so as you would in your work environment, and of course highlight the process of how you were able to overcome that challenge, or how your communication skills were able to help you pivot out of a situation, Or if you weren't successful, why do you think you weren't successful and how could you have done it better? These are some of the situational questions that might come up in your essay, both video as well as written. Now, for students who have not gone to an English medium school, we do require you to do an English proficiency test, whether it's IELTS or TOEFL. The scores are there, as you can see, 100 overall, but nothing under 23 for TOEFL and 7.0 overall, but nothing under 6.5 in each section for IELTS. Now, we'll also require you to submit 2 references. Your references will not be submitting a letter. You'll be providing us with their email address, their contact information, what their relationship is to you. We don't require them to be academic, but if you do have an academic reference, that's awesome. If you don't and it's just professional, no problem at all. As long as you're able to submit 2 and they're able to get back to us, we accept them. So tuition fees, what you can expect to be paying. Domestic students, it's $52,000, just over that. And then for international students, just over $80,000. We do have quite a lot of scholarship opportunities that are available. International students are automatically entered in. Domestic students, after you submit your application, on the very top right-hand corner of your portfolio or your Schulich student portal, you will find a link to our entrance scholarship. We strongly recommend after submitting your application that you go ahead and fill out that form so that you are considered for our entrance scholarship. We do have quite a number of ways to support you through line of credit that's available for domestic students as well as private student loans that are available for international students. Now, as you can see here, our admissions deadline for round 1 is September 30th, 2021. Round 2 is January 13th, 2022. Round 3 is March 10th, 2022. Round 4, and this is for late. You can see it there. It is April 28th, 2022. Now, if you are somebody who is a domestic student, as I said earlier, we are still accepting applications for fall 2021. So if you are interested, please go ahead and apply as soon as possible while slots are still available. We are hoping to close applications soon, and it's looking like it will be with quite a lot of the spaces filling up. So if you are a domestic student interested in starting as soon as possible, strongly recommend that you submit your application ASAP. I can see that there's a bit of questions that are coming in. Thank you so much. For students who have those questions, continue to plug them in. We're going to get to them in a moment. I'm almost done wrapping up. Thanks for those questions. So one of our most exciting new awards is our Gray Whiteland, sorry, this is blocking it, but it's our Gray Whiteland Strength and Diversity Award. So for students who are interested in applying for different scholarships and awards and are racialized, whether it's Black or Indigenous, or for students who are female applicants, we have an awesome award that's here for you. It's brand new. We've just introduced it this year. It's a $25,000 scholarship that's awarded to one person each year in the MREI program. It is specific to the Master of Real Estate and Infrastructure program. So strongly recommend that you take a look at our different scholarships. If this is one that you're able to apply for, definitely utilize the scholarship and apply for it. And if it's not to worry. We have a number of different other scholarships that are available to our students, and we strongly recommend that you apply for them. For more information, I can also include that in the email that I'll be sending out after this presentation so that you're able to do some research in that area as well. Now, I'd love to open it up to Q&A. As I said earlier, my name is Juanita Mwanga. I am the Recruitment and Communications Coordinator for the MREI program. I'm looking forward to touching base with you. I'm going to go ahead and answer some of those questions and leave the slide up for folks who would like to jot down my email address, as well as check out some of our events and some of our social media handles that are provided on this slide. So what funding opportunities are available? Great question, Noah. There's quite a lot, as I said earlier, and I'm going to plug our Schulich Grad Award link, where we have all of our different scholarships and awards that are listed for you after the presentation. So another question here. Hi, could you give me more color of your industry connections? As an MREI student, apart from case studies, guest speakers, and career coaching. How am I going to get in contact with potential employers while in the program? Is there any campus recruitment for internship and post-master's jobs? Absolutely. So as stated during the presentation, there absolutely is. We have our program coordinator by the name of Brina Addy, and she actually handles the internship program as well as the mentorship program. She sits down with you one-on-one and she takes you through the whole process and also pairs you out with someone. So if you are interested in that particular event, you're able to do so. And we're able to help quite a lot in ensuring that you're able to hit the ground running, not only once you graduate, but even beforehand. And that's what that spring summer term is for, and which is why it's a decreased course load. By only doing 3 classes, you're able to take advantage of some of those great resources that we have. In terms of guest speakers, all of the different organizations that I had listed off before, and I can actually go back to that slide. So not only do our alumni come in and participate as guest speakers, but they also, some of them are a part of our mentorship program, and some of their businesses have also signed on to our internship program. So some of the different businesses that you're seeing there, but also we have some awesome resources that we're able to provide students through these different corporations, businesses that we have teamed up with, and these are where our grads work today, and they are the same ones that come in as guest speakers and also come in during our networking events. We do host networking events with different representatives that come into Schulich. They hang out, they have sometimes some beverages and some nibbles of foods that we provide on our very main floor of our graduate building on our York campus. We're not in a virtual world. We do have quite a lot of events that take place. Now, we also have our program director here, or excuse me, our admissions director here, Jessica Morgan. So I'd love to welcome her on to answer this question here. Jess, are you available?
Hi, yes.
Awesome.
Happy to help.
Okay, great. So share a little bit more information on the timetable. I'm sure that the students also curious to know about how we're going to be managing the timetable in the COVID world that we're living in.
Sure. So you can expect for the MREI program that you're going to have anywhere from 12 to 20 hours a week of class work from your lectures. On top of that, of course, you're going to be working on case competitions, social activities, career networking, etc. So this is a full-time program. We really do not recommend that you are also doing full-time work at the same time. It's really not a strong idea to do that. So of course, part-time work is okay, but the full-time job is your program. So for the fall term, this fall, we are planning on doing what's called high flex. That means that there would be a mix of opportunity to both be in person and in virtual for the same class. So some participants may be logging in virtually, some participants may be able to come in person. So if you are thinking about the following terms, by January term, we are hoping to be 100% back in person, of course, subject to health regulations and how things are going. But that is our hope for the winter term, that we are back in person 100%.
So much.
If that answers.
So another question here, I've done a bachelor in architecture in India and currently studying in a project management course. I want to know, can I study MREI and what would the requirements be for me? Yeah, so very similar to what I had said before. I know that I had mentioned that we're still accepting applications for fall 2021, but that's for domestic students. But that's not to say that we're not opening up our applications for the upcoming year, which is for fall 2020. Now, if you're interested in applying for the program, then applications will open up in August. And as you see here, the admissions requirement requires you to have a 3 to 4 year degree. You also need to have 2 to 5 years work experience. And then I noticed that there's some questions about English proficiency. You are somebody who has studied in English medium school, and some of them are not only here in Canada, of course, but also throughout the world. You won't be required to do TOEFL or IELTS. If you are somebody who has not studied at an English medium school, again, that's around the world, then you would have to do an IELTS or a TOEFL. As long as you submit your unofficial transcripts, our assessors can usually tell if there is classes that have been conducted in English or not. So no need to go ahead and do the TOEFL or IELTS at this point. I would recommend holding off until you hear from us if you're unsure. Usually a student knows if their classes have been conducted in English or not, of course, because they're taking the classes. So if you are somebody who feels like you meet that requirement, then no need for you to do IELTS or TOEFL. But if you have not, I recommend that you get a hold of IELTS or TOEFL testing centers and book as soon as possible, because there has been quite a lot of delay, especially in the COVID world that we're in. So it's always better to start earlier than not. Okay, great. So another question here. What are the rate of employment after graduating? We don't have specific statistics on that just yet, but we definitely are working towards doing more of that in the future. But for now, I would like to say that our graduates do incredibly well, and we have a huge success rate throughout all of our master's programs. The real thing is as long as you apply some of the resources that we have, including our mentorship and internship, using our career development center as well, then there shouldn't be an issue in finding employment after you've completed the program. Okay, can you please touch upon the globalness of our program and how can students take advantage of it? Yeah, I'm going to welcome Jess again on. Jess, would you like to answer this question?
Sure, yeah. Something you may have seen on one of the previous slides, there was a study trip that went to New York. So that's one of the things we typically do. Of course, this past year, it's been a little bit different. We did virtual study tours, but in the past, we've taken the class to New York to see some significant developments and infrastructure projects that are ongoing there, meet with developers. We also, in the past, have gone to Montreal to do some of the similar activities there. And of course, in Toronto, we have a lot of opportunities to visit local developments and developers as well. So that's one opportunity, is that New York study tour. Of course, our class is also made up of both domestic and international students. So those international students are bringing their experiences, our domestic students are sharing theirs. So it's a really great learning environment. There may be other opportunities to get involved in case competitions, which are international. For instance, we participate in a lot of different international case competitions based out of other universities. For instance, Yale University, we competed this year. We've got international competitions that happen all around the world that you'll be able to participate in as well, if that's something that you're interested in.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jess. So question about being fully vaccinated. So we do have awesome resources for international students who have a bit more questions in relation to study permits, as well as what it looks like to travel to Canada with the lockdown and some of the restrictions. For questions related to that, we have a webinar that takes place on a weekly basis twice a week with our immigration lawyers and our international relations team. I can provide that link to you if you want to plug in your contact information or email me. I will plug in my email address in the chat. Feel free to email me and I can provide that information to you and any other students who are interested.
Yeah, and I'll just say that this is always constantly changing. So we all know, COVID's not completely over yet. The case is constantly changing. So if you are an admitted student, the international relations team will be communicating with you regularly anytime there's any change or update. The university also has their own quarantine plans. So if that's something, that you want to take advantage of, you can reach out to the university to set that up. So for sure, something we tell you today, it may be different a month from now, depending on how the situation looks. So definitely always check in, especially if you're an admitted student, if you're international and you're planning to travel to the country, please check, as Juanita said, with the international relations team, and they'll definitely help you out.
Okay, so last question here that I can see in the Q&A. Again, if you have any additional questions that are coming up, feel free to ask them away. That's what me and Jess are here for. You can use the Q&A icon at the very bottom of your Zoom screen and ask away. So I see a question here related to GMAT. Does GMAT have significant weightage? So again, our admissions requirements, as stated before, are pretty straightforward, and we're looking at not only your GPA, but we're taking a holistic perspective by incorporating references, by also having you do written exam, video essays, as well as having work experience. So with that being said, GRE and GMAT is not required. If you'd like to submit it because you've already completed it, or you feel like it would help you because maybe your GPA isn't in that B minimum, then absolutely we encourage it. But again, it is not required, nor is it recommended. It's optional. But if you are somebody who's a little bit nervous and wants to do a little bit more in order to stand out, that's always greatly appreciated, and definitely take it into consideration when your application.
Yeah, I would also just add, if, for instance, maybe you have a humanities degree or, non-quantitative, non-infrastructure related degree, it may definitely help to demonstrate your quantitative abilities. This program does have finance in it. It is, heavy on that side of things. You're going to need to know how to create a financing plan and all of that for your development. So having the ability to manage those quantitative type courses is quite important. So if you don't have any background at all, doing the GMAT or GRE might be a good way to demonstrate that. But again, as Juanita said, it is optional. So you can definitely apply without it. And once the admissions committee reviews, they may come back and say, we would like to admit you, but we'd like to recommend that you do the GMAT or GRE and meet a specific score as a condition of that admission. That is one option as well.
Any other questions? Well, if there's no other questions, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure connecting with all of you. If you have any additional questions that come up, feel free to email me. Again, email address is right here in this slide, jmuwanga@schulich.yorku.ca. We have quite a number of upcoming events that are constantly coming up, especially throughout our different MBA programs, information sessions. So feel free to check schulich.yorku.ca/events for information on that. Also follow us on social media to stay up to date on some of the different activities that we have at Schulich and our achievements. Oh, some questions have come in. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. If you have questions and you'd like to speak with us one-on-one, feel free to go ahead and email me, and we can have a sit-down Zoom call. That goes for anybody here. If you'd rather continue our conversation and don't feel like email might be the best method, email me and we can set up a Zoom call and speak one-on-one. What are the timeline to get a response from the admissions panel? That's a great question. So our admissions committee has multiple steps. One is to submit your application, and then we review it. We will invite you in for an interview. And then after the interview, we typically take about 2 weeks in order to get back to you. Sometimes it can be quicker than that. Sometimes it's around that time frame. So it can be an interesting process, to say the least. And of course, as stated before, with our different rounds, depending on when you apply is when you'll be hearing back from us. So we have round 1, round 2, round 3, and round 4 that take place on different times. So applying as soon as the applications open up in August, you should hear back from us before we've gone into round 2. Jess, would you like to add anything to that?
Just a note for any international students on the call today. We always do recommend for international students to apply as early as possible, and by round 2 is preferred and recommended. This is because if you are admitted to the program, you need to begin a process that is a little bit lengthy to apply for your study permit. That can take a number of months. So this is why we would encourage you to apply earlier rather than later, so that you don't run out of time to get that process underway. and you don't face any delays. So just note that for international students. For domestic students, really you can apply at any time. But again, remember, this is not a huge program. It's a small program, one cohort. And we of course have limited seats, and for scholarships, we have limited scholarships. So the earlier you apply, the better your chances for both of those items. But anyways, we would love to hear from you, and we hope to see your application, either any domestic students for this fall and anyone applying for 2022 fall. The applications will open in about mid-August. So you won't be able to start your application just yet, but when they do open in August, Juanita will be in touch with a notification to let you know the applications are open and that you can get started.
Awesome. So if there's no other questions, again, thank you so much for joining us. I want to strongly stress that we are still accepting applications for domestic students for fall 2021. As you can see here, it's still open. But if you're interested in fall 2022, we're going to be opening applications to everyone, domestic and international students, in August. I look forward to reviewing your applications at that time. I am here. I'm an awesome resource just for you. So if you have any additional questions that come up, would like to sit down with me, speak one-on-one, feel free to email me, jmuwanga@schulich.yorku.ca. It was a pleasure chatting with you all today. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to communicating with you further.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.